The finals just had a bunch of dev and community updates. We'll cover some additional notes from the developers for both Easter eggs and future leaks. We got some feedback around the update 6.3. There's some additional confirmations around the matchmaking system. And of course, last up we'll go over some community and social mentionables. We got a ton to talk about. What's up world, it's Utopia back in with another video today. We're checking out all things the finals. So first up here, we'll get into those dev mentionables and the update. Of course, yes, I did miss update 6.3 this week. I did take a bit of a personal vacation there. And unfortunately, even though I had planned it on that Thursday the 10th, whereas I would have been able to cover if the update came out on Wednesday, it did get delayed a day, so I did miss the update 6.3. That is the first update I've ever missed from the finals. But if you want to check it out, I'll include a link to the patch notes overall. But we do have some feedback around that. Of course, I'm not going to get into the actual patch notes because there's been a billion videos about it already. However, we have had a ton of mentionables and feedback around this update. So first up, of course, yes, they did nerf the sword. I've had a bunch of discussion around this already, but they said that recently they've been looking at the data. But this last part stands out to me the most, where they say additionally there are several exploits and bugs they've become aware related to performing extra or phantom attacks. Again, this was something that I encountered in the preview event, and I've also seen occasionally while playing. I'm assuming it won't feel as bad since they did nerf the damage quite a bit. Was mainly hoping they fix the exploits, but it does seem like they're still trying to crack that one down. Hopefully we do see that eventually sometime soon. And of course they also did mention that the stun gun would return on 6.6. Again, if you want to check out the entire patch notes, I will link to it down below. But jumping over, we finally do have some feedback around this update. So this first one here, people are very sad about, which here they had reduced the frequency of the Moolah charm mooing with the lower chance of the sounds playing on elimination of an enemy. Someone here said no, it's literally the reason they had this charm equipped. We've also had a thread like this, Justice for Moolah. People really want the charm to be reverted to the way it was. I don't blame them, that sounds pretty fun. This is a battle pass reward, I believe I don't have it yet, but it does seem like that was pretty fun to actually use. And the utilization there did seem pretty fun. And we actually did have some recognition about this. It actually does come from Oscar, who says that he's seen it and we'll see if they can undo it. Hoping they do so. I'm assuming they will with the backlash around this. And just general feedback there, a lot of people have really wanted this to be reverted. So I'm assuming they will. It seems like a very large fan request. They are super good about that and listening to the feedback. Maybe they even have an option to change the frequency there, or even mute charms as a sound option, so you can just turn off the noise if you don't like the sounds that charms make. I think there is some remedies there if people don't like that. Overall, I just hope that they fix it and revert it back. Next up here, we did have some dev mentionables. This one specifically actually does come from Embark Rob, who actually did finally jump into one of the community streams. Now, this was during the Bunny Bash event. Obviously, that new 6.3 update is that new Bunny Bash event with the Power Shift mode. Really enjoying that so far. I'm glad they're finally utilizing more of Power Shift. Turning it into an Easter basket was a nice touch. And I really do enjoy the locked loadouts. Just kind of like steal the spotlight and some of the others we did have with the original release. So I'm really liking these new LTMs and they're doing a great job with it. Super happy about that. But jumping back to it, Rob actually did give me a shout out during this stream. Now again, unfortunately, I was on vacation, so I'm a bit late here. But he did mention here any questions on any leaks so far. And then down here he said, Utopia, bring it on. That was quite funny there, so I did get a bit of a shout out. Which, yes Rob, I am covering this. Now he was told several times not to leak anything, so we didn't get much out of him, but he did type this AAWAT-LTM, which could be referring to another future LTM. Again, obviously that's not around the Bunny Bash, as that was already happening during the stream. It's quite an odd one there, double A what LTM. People have tried to pick that apart, but nothing has come to fruition as of yet. Or it was originally posted on the Easter egg Discord, people were discussing it there. But that was all we got out of him, as he was kept in check. Although there actually was an additional mentionable during Oscar's stream, where somebody asked Oscar if they do have an official Ospuze drink or if they're making that, and he actually did showcase a can of Ospuze during the stream. Now again, back in the day, Jeff Keighley actually showed this off for the Game Awards when the game first originally dropped, so it's been well over a year now that they've had these Ospuze cans. Seemed more like a marketing tool back then. However, this really could be an official Ospuze can. Now Oscar said he shouldn't shake it up, so it does seem like it is filled with some sort of liquid. So maybe this is the real deal now and not just an empty can. Although to be fair, maybe the ones even that Jeff Keighley showed off were or did have liquid in them. As I mentioned before, I did get contacted by several organizations trying to make the Ospuze can. Again, maybe there was some tricky stuff with the licensing there that I'm just not familiar with. They did say it was an open license, but it does seem like maybe that wasn't the case. At least maybe now Embark actually wants to jump into that and utilize the Ospuze brand and make cans of that. I'll have to wait and see. I haven't heard anything in a very long time from those other organizations, so I honestly doubt that any third party is going to make it, as it has been so long since then. But it does look like Embark might be eventually making Ospuze cans, so I don't lose hope there we might see that eventually. Maybe even in the merch store, maybe they just sell it as certain merch, or if they actually do have it and produce it in stores. Jumping over here, we did have some community mentionables. However, this first one is kind of a dev mentionable too, but it does look like the Eggmail actually did confirm that there is no SBMM in World Tour. Now, sometimes Eggmail is moderated, but this actually looks like this one was filled out by staff, or at least a moderator over on the Discord, where they said there is currently no SBMM in World Tour, meaning it should be similar to casual modes. It'll attempt to pair you with similar ranked players, but not exclusively SBMM present in ranked mode with its actual parameters. However, you could say that it actually is SBMM still, as there is two forms of that, where ranked mode does bar you into essentially if it's silvers playing against silvers. SBMM still takes into account certain statistics there, where ranked and SBMM are actually a little bit different, so I'm not exactly sure if that's answered correctly. And even as a commenter does point out here that there is some form of SBMM, at least the way it's worded, albeit though it might be a weaker system, but it's still pairing you with some sort of skill-based matchmaking. Maybe some discrepancies there, maybe they can elaborate on that, but it does seem like there is some sort of SBMM located in World Tour. Next up here, and moving on, we did have some community mentionables, where this first one is a thread saying, I think we should motivate creators to produce fan content about the finals. Now, they talk about that there are promotional links that are essentially maybe banned on the subreddit. I don't believe this is the case. I think you can actually post your fan content or YouTube content on the finals page. Although I will say Once Human and Fragpunk have both kind of pushed creators to actually post their content on the Reddit. At least they've asked us to do so on occasion. Haven't really seen the push there for the finals, but I have seen creators post their content there. As other commenters have pointed out, there's not really any ban there, but it does seem like you might not be able to post your links. Maybe they eventually kind of elaborate there, as I do think you should be able to. Especially as I said, other game developers actually want you to post to their subreddit. At least I've been asked to do so by the developers and even the CMs or the community managers. I also will say with this thread, the artwork is really nice, which leads me onto this post. Now, this was made a really long time ago, I forgot to cover it, but somebody wanted more cosmetic packages like this one. I do think just like the last post and this one, they should have some more goth or anime aesthetics. I think those will sell well. They seem to sell well when they release those. The cosmetics in the finals are already great, but I wish they would hit on those. It's kind of like the Once Human crowd wanting more military-esque skins, when all they do is actually get the exact opposite of this game. I think if both of those games actually went back and forth, they would have a good medium, or at least a good balance there. Moving on, we have this really cool post here. Now, this was done by Jet Streamer Bricks, who showcased off his finals Lego build. This is absolutely insane and really cool here. Obviously, there is no finals Lego pieces. He did this completely custom. Just think a super cool build there overall. Hopefully, he does some future ones, and he does have more over on his Instagram. Again, I'll include the links to this post as well as his socials down below. Last up here, of course, we do have those features from My Star Models page, where we do have this one here from Hap, who shows off the gold medalist in the Olympics, Kim Yeji. Might not be pronouncing that correctly, but they do showcase off that shooter build. Really cool here. This actually matches quite well, and even their nice moolah in the back with the glasses. Really cool there, and a nice fun play on things. I think they did a great overall job with this one. Next up here, we have one from Ras EST, where he shows off another TF2 build, and this one is the Scout. Again, another really cool and fun one here. I love the play on when they can actually make it look like a TF2 build. This one mirrors very well, just like we had the heavy one. So some really cool aesthetics there. Overall, that's about cover for today's video. If you enjoyed it, like, subscribe, and until the next one. Deuce!